Hello, my friends. The other day I watched on Facebook a tiny little video about a grand champion, tennis champion, Andre Agassi. And he just shared how observing something very weird when his opponent on the court was serving actually led him to victory in many matches against his opponents. So first of all, for those of you who don't know, Andre Agassi was an American former professional tennis player, and I'm looking at Wikipedia, and he won. I mean, he was one of those incredible names in tennis playing, and won 60 ATP tour level titles, and he won Olympic gold medal and 70 master titles, and I mean, one of those absolute legends. Now, his opponent was nevertheless an extraordinary tennis player as well, and his name was Boris Becker, and he was a German former professional tennis player, and he was ranked #1 in the world, right, in men's singles. Again, another legend in tennis. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because this connects all with NLP. On this little video on Facebook, Agassi shared the fact that he noticed that his opponent, Boris Becker, had a weird little thing he was doing. Just before serving on the court, he was like doing a little bit of a, right and left movement of the body. And just, that's his routine, Agassi said. But what he was doing this weird thing with his tongue. He was like almost like licking his upper lip like this, sticking his tongue a little out, licking his upper lip like this. And when he was licking his lip right in the middle, he was serving either in the middle or to the body. And when he was sticking his tongue to the left, this is my left, if it depends if you're watching mirroring, he was actually serving wide. Now this was a little observation that made all the difference in many matches that these two champion legends had against each other. And that led me to share with you a little technique from NLP, which has to do with observation skills. So this little thing, they are like licking the lip or sticking the tongue out a little bit, which for most people went absolutely unnoticed. Oh, it's just one of the things that this guy does. Made all the difference in the world. And in NLP, this is called sensory acuity, which is nothing, forget the big words and the labels and the names of the techniques. What is it? Is the ability to notice tiny little differences in things that people do when they change either internal states or when it's a giveaway to a change in behavior, in other words, or in emotional states. See, on the surface, people can put a poker face and, give you the nice words, hoping that you don't know and you don't notice what's going on truly with them. And most people, and I'm saying most people who are untrained, do a lot of what we call mind reads. They guess. And the guessing goes like this. So if I have a smile on my face like this and I'm looking like this, people will say, oh, Adriana's happy. But I can stay like this, same smile, and in my mind I can actually say, oh God, I didn't want this to happen. But on the surface I put this thing. So mind reading and guessing is very imprecise most of the time. Now, on the other side, we have the body language. We've all heard of body language. And this means that. The hands like this means that. And if the person's doing this, if the whatever, that means if they cross their legs, means that. And that's also not correct for most people. Because what really happens, there are minute changes that happen from moment to moment. And although there are some general rules that you can apply, that apply in general, but it's a very broad generalization. What is the giveaway is the individual micro changes that if you learn how to notice, it will help you tremendously. Like, think of it. If you know, and it's not, people say, oh, but that's the sixth sense, it's the intuition, it's just knowing the other person. Yeah, and that's still not precise, because we all judge and evaluate what we see in other people still based on our own internal filters, to say like this. And we all are different as human beings. We're not all the same. So imagine being able to, let's say at work, you notice your manager or your boss, or how useful it would be if you notice the micro changes that happen. You're talking to them, you are explaining or proposing, having a proposal, or getting together with a plan, or you want to know what will be their decision about something that happens at the workplace, or in your private business, the same thing. You look at the people you work with. Maybe you employ people. Maybe you are an employee of a corporation and you want to know, hey, will I be laid off? Is there a plan to lay off people and replace them with AI, or what? What's really going on? Now, the words may be very nice that you get back, but what if you could really notice what's really going on behind the words without guessing or mind reading? Because that's the big thing. Many people go, oh, I know what's going on. No, you don't. You make up stuff, which sometimes could be correct, but it's never more than a 50-50 chance, which is like, tossing the coin. Same thing, just law of averages. And so, but imagine that the same thing could apply with your partner in life, with your spouse, with your children, with anybody, where you're able to notice. So there are two steps here. First of all, to notice, and I'm going to share with you what specifically you want to notice. And we'll do some very little things, simple things that you can use now to help, figure out what's really behind the words. So first is noticing, and second thing is the art of comparing. Now, what do I mean by that? And that's the first thing actually we're going to learn. Imagine that from moment to moment, as a conversation goes on, as an exchange of words, be it a business plan, as I said, or something that happens at home, or a conversation that you're having with a member of your family, or talking to friends, the same thing. As the conversation wears on, and as you go deep in the conversation, and the subject may change, unbeknownst to our conscious minds who evaluate just the conversation, the words themselves, there are changes happening inside the people we are talking to. The emotional state changes, rather. The emotional state changes. Which means what? Well, if we're talking now about a great dinner that I had with my friends, I will feel a certain way about it. And if it was a nice dinner and it was a great enjoyable event, then I'm going to feel good, because while I talk about this, I remember it, and my internal state is related to that particular pleasant, maybe nice, beautiful event. Now the conversation changes, and all of a sudden, instead of that, it goes to, well, I wish I could have somebody to talk like this to at work, and then the conversation goes down to a project that didn't work well at work, or a fear that people have, or anxiety about the future, or anything like this, right? And then even if the faces of the people may not be changed at the macro scale, big, maybe they're still polite and having a nice smile, especially if they train themselves to have a nice smile. Maybe it's not immediately obvious, the change in their facial and even bodily physiology. There are still changes going on. And some people may not show that. Some people show immediately. You can see immediately when their state changes. But for some people, it's not so easy to notice unless you know what to look at. So what do we compare? So we're looking right now at a person. And it's almost like you take a snapshot in your mind. And by the way, your unconscious mind does this anyway. Yeah. So you take a snapshot. Okay, here it is, the person now. And then as the subject changes, you take another snapshot. And then in your mind, you compare the two. Now, what are you trying to compare? And I'm going to describe this bit by bit by bit. And so I can give you something practical and easy to follow and to use. first of all, so the first notion is you compare. In your mind, you compare. What's the person's face and other details doing right now? Then you take another snapshot and you compare these two. So that's the first thing. And by the way, just as an aside, initially maybe, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Oh, it's just a matter of practicing for a couple of days, and you will see how easy all this becomes. Now imagine being able to observe other people to a level to where it's incredibly detailed, and you notice ahead of time, and you know where the conversation, what the reaction will be. I promise you that if you bother to do this, if you pay attention like this, it will make you into a master communicator, because you ahead of time know what's coming without guessing. You know exactly where the person in front of you is. Whether we're working with groups, by the way, or with individuals, whether we're working one-on-one or with 2, 3, 5, even 10 people, and the ability to notice these minor details and changes that show you without guessing what's going on inside the people made a major difference for me and for everybody who learns it. So in NLP, just to give you a little bit of a background, one of the people that been modeled because of his success in using language in a certain way was Dr. Milton Erickson. And Dr. Milton Erickson was famous for his sensory acuity, and so the legend goes, the story goes, since he had polio twice in his life, the second time he was pretty old. I mean, he didn't have it as a child, not old as an old man, but he was about 18 years old, and he was bedridden because of the polio, and he relearned how to walk, how to use his muscles by watching his baby sister learn how to walk. Now imagine the incredible observation skills that one has to have in order to notice, okay, what muscle is moving around now? How is the knee moving? How is the ankle? How is this? I mean, unbelievable. And so Dr. Erickson was recognized for an incredible ability to observe what's really going on with the people in front of him. In fact, another fun story about Dr. Erickson is that once when he became, a medical doctor and also a hypnotherapist, a very famous hypnotherapist. And his method of hypnosis we teach in NLP practitioner, but also his use of language was absolutely phenomenal in assisting people to access trance. But that's not the part I want to talk today. I want to talk today about his observation skills, because he was this woman, and that's a story that goes on around him, which probably is true, but seen through my own eyes. And she didn't speak English, and Dr. Harrison didn't speak Spanish. And yet he assisted her to develop trance, and just as anybody else. And then, his students and people were asking, Dr. Erickson, how did you notice when this woman was in trance? Because it's just unbelievable. You have a very limited, if any, amount of words that you could use. She wasn't, very basic, just a few words in English, and you don't speak Spanish. And then he said, I noticed when she went into trance because I could see the pulse on her ankle change a bit. Now, incredible the ability to notice. I mean, the pulse on a vein or artery on the ankle of somebody moves, of course, as the blood flows with the heartbeat. But how many of us, without being trained, are able to even observe that as happening? In fact, once I learned sensory acuity and this art of observation, the skill of really masterfully observing other people, it occurred to me how much people don't notice, that they really don't notice. And so this is what I was thinking to share with you. Before I share with you specifically what you need to pay attention to, let me give you an example how this happened to me. So I was flying back to the US, and at the immigration, showing my passport to the immigration officer, he said to me, "So your name is Adriana James?" "Yes." "And you flew in from," I don't remember where I was coming from, Australia, I think from Australia. "You've been in Australia?" "Yes." "So you've been there for the last 2 months?" "Yes." "And so you're a lawyer?" And I said, "No." And then I realized what he was doing. He was trained in observation skills, but also he didn't take it simple as most people think. Oh, if a person does this or squints or the body is like this, like that, that means equals a certain thing. He knew to compare. So what he was doing, he was comparing how I look, my skin color, my skin tonus, my voice, my breathing, my eyes, and all this. And I'm going to describe to you specifically how this works. For yes, so he first asked me some questions. They were true. So he was calibrating, or the calibration is the word, we use in NLP, which means observing. Calibrating, yes. And then he asked me, obviously, a false question to see how no looks and if I am lying or not. "So your name's Adriana James?" "Yes." "So you just flew in from Australia?" "Yes." "So you've been in Australia for the last 2 months?" "Yes." "So you are a lawyer?" No. He was looking at the truth versus false. That's how you use the observation skills. And also, you notice, as I said a moment ago, what is actually going on truly inside the person behind the poker face that people show you. Some people, they simply have a poker face. They don't seem to have any facial expression. Or if people use Botox, or if people use, they have, frozen face because of Botox and nothing moves. However, there is still a lot you can observe in order to not guess and not be fooled. The first thing you can notice about the person if the skin color changes. Now, when people go skin color, it's becoming more like this, like that. No, I caution you to not mind it, it should become more red, or it should become like this. No. Because depending on the natural color of the skin, or if the people wear makeup, or some people have a darker skin color than others, you are looking for dark versus light. So don't look for pink or red or anything like this. Look for dark versus light. What does it mean? When a person, so let's think logically about it. When a person's more relaxed, in a relaxed state, and they feel good, the emotional state, so the state they're feeling is relaxed, and they are in a good mood, and they are, comfortable while they're having a conversation with you, or they feel that they are okay, they are relaxed is the term that's best to use. The blood flow goes to extremities. Their hands are warm, and the whole body receives the blood flow, including the face. And there'll be more blood flow to the face. I promise you that regardless of the skin color, you can notice the skin is darker. Now, if a person's changes state and they get into a tense state, and I'm not going to name it, it could be anything. Tense state could be a happy state or a non-happy state. Tension doesn't mean good emotions or bad emotions. Any tension is the same. The blood will run away because there is muscle tension. The blood will run away from the face. The face will be lighter in color. Now, Adriana, what does this mean? Well, see, here is the thing. By my example that I just gave you before, me in the immigration, and the custom officers asked me the questions, it's clear that nothing means anything in isolation. So what does it mean when so-and-so I'm talking with, the skin becomes lighter and it's almost like the whole skin itself, the whole face becomes lighter. The skin color all of a sudden becomes lighter. What does it mean? Well, nothing in and of itself. That's very important to remember. But as the officer asked, tested me, You are noticing simply how truth, in his case, it could be anything, in his case was truth, looks like. You take that snapshot I just discussed before, and then you compare with how does not truth or false look like. Now, here is what my suggestion is. For the first day, spend a day to pay attention and just look at the people as you talk to them and notice, does the color of their skin change? Does it change anything? So you simply, unconsciously, I promise you, you register this. That's how people say, oh, but I instinctually, or I had a gut feeling that this happens. But we want to make it conscious. So in order to do this, just practice for 1-2 days. Just look at when you talk to people and begin to notice, does their skin changes in color? It's a shift from light to dark. Obviously, that's why I'm asking you, do not judge and don't say this means that. Just take in information for the moment. I'm going to teach you how to assign meaning. But imagine you're looking, I think the easiest way to do is to imagine you're looking at a black and white photo. And as you look across at them, notice that the picture gets darker or lighter. And that's the difference between the two. And you think, oh, it's difficult, but actually it's not. It's actually easy once you pay attention. That's the first thing. Pay attention to people's members of your family, your kids. I promise you there are small, slight differences, but you can notice them.